One of the most hotly debated topics when it comes to electric vehicles is whether or not they are reliable and trustworthy over long periods of time. As a people, we fear change. Many folks, despite modern internal combustion engine vehicles coming with all sorts of problems and breaking down within just a few short years of their production, question the longevity of EVs. New technology and big change is always met with a substantial amount of pushback, no matter the field of study. However, nothing quite convinces like hard evidence. There is a small problem, though. Mass production EVs are barely over a decade old at this point, so there aren't a lot of examples of modern EVs that have seen hefty extended use. That's not to say there is none. To see how much effect a massive amount of mileage has on an EV, I ventured off to sunny San Diego, California to get behind the wheel of a Tesla Model S with an odometer reading that will even raise the eyebrows of classic Toyota and Honda fans. So no, the title is not some sort of elaborate clickbait so that you'll subscribe to my channel. Nor am I about to stutter when I tell you that this 2015 Tesla Model S has 424,000 miles on it. It works out to a little over 70,000 miles a year. Now, if you're curious as to how that happened, the original owner of this car was an Uber driver, so this car spent a lot of its time driving for Uber. Go figure, right? I thought I did a lot of damage by putting over 50,000 miles on one of my cars in a single year, but this really takes the cake. Now, you're probably curious as to what effect 424,000 miles has had on a Tesla, given the amount of people that call into question the reliability of an electric car. Let's talk about it. I know a lot of people are probably interested in the specs of this particular Tesla because, let's face it, 424,000 miles is a lot of miles, and I'm sure a lot of people probably think there's some sort of catch. There isn't. This is a 2015 Tesla Model S 70D, so it's not a performance model, but it does have dual motors and the smaller battery. There is a disclaimer involving that battery that I'll get out of the way right now. It was replaced under warranty at around 250,000 miles, according to the previous owner of the car. That being said, that means that the battery we're driving on still has about 180,000 miles on it, so you can't really discredit it entirely. That's a lot of miles. As far as driving goes, it still feels exactly like any other Tesla. You would never know that the mileage it has is the mileage it has unless you look at the odometer or the vehicle info on the big touchscreen in the middle. There are, however, a couple of issues with it, none of them really hindering the ability to drive the car, but right now the driver rear window regulator had an issue, and Alex, the owner of the car, actually replaced it, but the replacement one didn't work. So currently the rear window has a small crack in it. It's not sealed all the way, so when you're driving on the highway you get a little bit of wind noise back there that you wouldn't typically expect from a car from 2015, but these kind of things happen. Now, another issue with this Tesla is the screen seems to have this drizzle running down the front of it, if you will, which is apparently a relatively common issue for Model S's of this vintage. It's apparently just the adhesive that holds the actual plastic screen onto the gauge cluster, and can be fixed with relative ease as far as I could find, but I don't know for sure. The steering wheel is also a little worse for wear. Somebody's hands have been on it for nearly enough miles to go to the moon and back. I think that's pretty reasonably forgivable and somewhat expected, although Alex does have a replacement steering wheel for it, so you'll never know that that was an issue here in a little bit as well. Otherwise, the interior is remarkably nice for having 424,000 miles on it, especially when you consider that this vehicle was used for Uber. The amount of people that have been in and out of this car is probably an unfathomable number, yet still, both the front and back seats seem to have pretty minor wear and tear, especially when you consider its use. I've seen Volkswagens, Audis, even Bentleys with seats that look way, way worse than this with way, way fewer miles. As for fanfare, it is a 2015, so it's got unlimited free supercharging. It's got everyone's favorite, the Tesla hands-off Autopilot, although I shouldn't say hands-off because you do need to have your hands on, believe it or not. It will yell at you if you don't give the steering wheel minor inputs. I've been testing it on and off over the past day or so, and it's been bulletproof. It hasn't merged me into traffic or caused an accident, which is, pretty favorable when you're using an autopilot system. Still freaks me out a little bit, and I'm a little hesitant to trust it, but it's not just because it's this Tesla. I'm a little hesitant to trust it in all Teslas. It freaks me out a little bit, and I fear change. This Tesla is actually really nicely spec'd too. I'm sure you're well aware by now, but it's a black interior and black exterior car with leather seats. I don't really know much about Teslas as far as whether or not they all come with leather or not, but this one has it, and it's pretty nice. Now, let's talk about battery range for a second, because I know that's a concern of people's as well. For example, take the Nissan Leaf, which is pretty synonymous with having issues as they get older. The battery range plummets to a virtually unusable range. That's not so in the case of Tesla. Like I said, this battery was replaced allegedly at 250,000 miles, but that optimistically puts us at 180,000 miles on this battery. And Alex told me still on a full charge, you get about 180 to 200 miles worth of range, which is only about 40 miles shy of where it started 6 years and 424,000 miles ago. All the electric stuff still worked. The mirrors, the windows, save for the driver one, the climate control, everything's still good. You would not know that this car has 400,000 miles on it unless you looked. A side note here, but this is the longest extended drive I've had with a Tesla before. I did get to drive Jason Fensky from Engineering Explains Model 3. Thanks for letting me drive that, Jason. But I didn't drive it very long, so I didn't really get to experience how aggressive the region braking of a Tesla is. I don't know for sure if this thing is still on the original brake pads that have 424,000 miles, but based on how little I have to use the brake pedal, I wouldn't even be surprised. It's really only when you're coming to a complete stop, but if you just need to slow down, you don't have to use the brake pedal at all. Teslas don't have 1 foot driving like a lot of EVs do, but this thing is, it's kind of blowing my mind as a internal combustion engine enthusiast. Now I can hear you guys through the screen. I know what you're saying. Sure, it has 424,000 miles on it and you're driving it right now, but is it still dependable with that kind of mileage? After all, Alex, the owner, doesn't drive very far for work. He doesn't have any sort of extreme commute. So I figure there's a really good way to take this back to its roots and put that dependability to a test. I am a driver for DoorDash. So Alex has given me permission to use this car to drive for DoorDash, which I'm going to do all day tomorrow, and we'll really see if it's a dependable car, even with 424,000 miles. Generally, when doing DoorDash, if I do it for the entire day, which I haven't done for a long time, thanks to the proclivities of my automotive journalism career, which all of that fancy words means is I can pay my rent a little bit easier without having to DoorDash all the time lately. I'm not mad at that. Please subscribe. Let's try and, keep that trend going. I wouldn't be upset. However, I would do about 200 to 250 miles a day depending on what orders I take. So that's a pretty good test, especially of the battery's range. We'll likely have to stop and charge for a little bit in the middle of the day, but I'm not even sure I'll be putting in that full of a day. We'll see how I'm feeling. However, it is a very high stakes operation. After all, if the Tesla doesn't make it through a day of door dashing, we could be facing one of the worst things a person could ever experience in their life. Their cheeseburger may not arrive on time, or it may not arrive at all. We're an American-made car, and we're testing it on American roads, and I can't imagine anything more punishing to an American citizen than an American car on American roads not bringing them a double cheeseburger with large fries. So, wish me luck, ladies and gentlemen. We're gonna give it a shot. Look, I really don't know what you want me to say here, but it'd be way too weird to film myself delivering people's food and ask people to be in the videos and all that. It just worked, okay? It worked. I drove it for DoorDash several hundred miles and it was fine. However, I thought it'd be pretty interesting to interview some Tesla owners and see what they think is a reasonable amount of miles for a Tesla and how many miles they think they'll get out of there. All right, what's your name?
My name is Matthew Cullen.
Okay, and what's this Tesla we're driving back here?
It's a Tesla Model X.
What year is it?
2021.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
So do you guys have any concerns about the longevity of a Tesla? Like any issues or anything like that? How many miles do you think one would last?
Oh, I mean, I don't think there's any concern.
Try to take a guess how many miles that car has. Total, like how many miles it's driven on the road.
I mean, doesn't look like much. It looks like a nice car. Probably say like around 10, 20,000.
It has 424,000 miles on it.
That's crazy.
It was used for Uber since new from 2015, and a friend of mine just bought it. 424,000 miles, and it doesn't have any issues except for a sticky window regulator that needs replaced. But
that's crazy.
What was your name again?
Matthew.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being in the video. I appreciate your time. Yeah. All right, what was your name?
Montana.
Nice to meet you. And what kind of car do you drive?
I got a Model 3.
What year is it?
It's a 2020.
Okay. And how many miles are on it total?
I couldn't tell you. I have to look, but like I said, I just drove to Texas and back and Utah and back.
Okay. So you don't have any concerns about the reliability of it then?
Nah.
It's, with that new of a car, it's understandable, but we're standing in front of Alex's Tesla right here. My buddy let me borrow this. Try and take a guess at how many miles this thing has on it.
What year is it?
It's a 2015.
2015. By the way you're presenting it, I'm guessing it's stupid high. I guess 253,000.
That's a good guess, and that is a really high number for a Tesla, but this one has 424,000 miles. It was used...
Okay, and you're telling me the battery hasn't been replaced?
The battery was replaced at 250,000 under warranty.
Ah, see, I was close to that.
Yeah, that's a good thing to ask. I actually addressed that earlier in the video. But that means this battery that's in it still has 180,000 miles on it, and the only range loss it's seen is on a full charge, it'll still do about 200, when brand new it would have been about 240. So 40 miles over the course of 180,000 seems pretty reasonable to me. But yeah, Montana, correct?
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Have a good day.
Have a good one. All right, you said you're David, correct?
Yes, my name is David.
Nice to meet you. And this is your Tesla Model Y?
Yeah, 2021, 2022.
Right on, yeah. The new one.
Yeah.
So my question is, do you have any concerns about the longevity of it? Like how many miles it's going to last or anything like that?
That's actually, before I took delivery, that was my cold feet reason. It was definitely my cold feet reason. And I thought about backing out because I drive about 3,000 miles a month for work.
Oh, that's really good to know, actually.
Yeah, so that was the reason I justified buying it, because it was just as expensive as my Prius was.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, this just pencils out. Plus I bought it for tax reasons and stuff. Am I worried about the longevity? Absolutely, but I think it's because the jury's still out on it.
Right.
There's cars that report 1 million miles and stuff like that. So I'm willing to take that chance because of the other immediate benefits that I get with owning the vehicle.
Yeah, so that's actually a really good position to put me in for the questions I'm going to ask. You probably didn't see that black Tesla that I'm driving over
I did
there.
all blacked out?
Yeah.
Sick.
Try and take a guess how many miles are on that car. It's from 2015.
15? Is it the original owner?
It's not.
300,000?
That's a good guess. It's got 424,000 miles on it.
Original battery?
It's not the original battery. That's the first question I've gotten twice now, actually. It had a warranty replacement battery allegedly at 250,000, which still puts the current battery at 180,000.
Warranty doesn't runs out at 120 for my car.
Yeah, Tesla used to do unlimited mileage 8-year batteries. So yeah, they stopped doing that. However, like I said, the current battery's got 120 or 180,000 miles on it, and right now on a full charge it'll do about 200 miles, where the range started at about 240. So 180,000 miles to lose 40 miles overall doesn't seem too bad. But
no, not at all.
Yeah, so you at least can take solace, and there's some that are very high mileage still being driven around. It was originally used for Uber, and
yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so you said you drive 3,000 miles a month. That's
Yeah, so I'm a real estate agent, and I service Southern California, Orange County, Los Angeles, Empire, San Diego.
Right.
So I am on the road
constantly.
Yeah, the 5 freeway and the 15 freeway are like home, basically, to me.
Well, that's perfect. Hopefully that gives you a little more confidence in it over time. But yeah, nice to meet you. Thank you.
Nice to meet you, too.
Have a good one. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I don't have the people skills for this. I thought this was a good idea and it'd be a fun bit, but it's just really awkward. To make a long story short, There's no definitive answer for if 30 years from now a Tesla Model S from 2015 is still going to be kicking happily down the streets, but what I can tell you is that a battery in a Tesla Model S can last up to at least 250,000 miles, and assuming there's not too much else going on, the Teslas can easily push around the 500,000 mile mark thus far. Furthermore, there's actually been some that have been proven to be close to 1 million miles overseas, so maybe these EVs are a little bit better off than people are giving them credit for. If you'd like to know a little bit more about this Tesla and my experiences with it, check out the link in the description. I did a photo shoot and an article for Electric Vehicle Forum on this very car, but ultimately, what it looks like is the Tesla's a pretty reliable car. And if there's nothing else that I learned from my time with this thing, it's that I really want a Tesla now. Ultimately, I thank you guys very much for tuning into this video. If you'd like to see more from me in the future, be sure to hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you next time.